Hello my friends and welcome. We have some new update from Avdiivka town from the northern part of the flank near to Krasnogorivka. Russia unfortunately moved forward. Today they advanced to this artificial hill and also to the northwest part where they were totally demolished. They also advanced towards the railroad but were unable to get it under control. Still, it's like a defense line for Ukrainian army. We have the drone images about the actual fight. I'm gonna show you later in this video, but now let's speak about this thing because there Ukraine did mistakes. I want to be as unbiased on my channel as possible, so now let's speak about the Russian advancement. Today those maps start to appear with this area colored in red. It means that Russia advanced and they even put their flag on top of this hill. This hill is actually very important because from it you may observe everything around, including all of the Avdiivka town. Around 5 days ago Russia advanced towards the hill, but their forces were totally ambushed. They tried to perform the same attack around 3 days ago and today. So for today it was the most successful their attempt. The mistake of Ukrainian army was that our guys actually were deployed on top of that hill. So our guys didn't receive the order to leave that place at the proper time and Russia bombed it using the artillery. Unfortunately, as you can see, the Ukrainian positions were demolished. Russia even launched some of the missiles over there. I think that rocket artillery system was in use. There are more images on internet, they're quite shocking, so I'm not sharing those on my platforms. But definitely it was the Ukrainian command mistake to keep our forces that close to the Russian positions without any protection, just on top of that particular hill. There is basically no place to hide, quite a vulnerable position for Ukrainian army. So Russia used this mistake and after all they advanced towards the hill, putting their flag on the top. So here's their flag, the Russian flag, and on the top the flag of the particular brigade or regiment, the unit who performed this mission. Looks like the communist red flag, but it isn't. After they put the flag on the top they retreated because it's also vulnerable position for them because Ukraine constantly uses artillery to target the Russian positions. So now no one is controlling this hill in particular. Later on, Ukraine launched the FPV drone to target the Russian flag on the top. There were no any targets other than this flag. And let me show you the drone videos from this failed Russian operation on the northwest part. We have the location from the deep state military map and they show the exact video of how Russian forces were just absolutely ambushed. They went with mostly infantry vehicles and infantry on the top. There were at least 5 of the vehicles they tried to assault with lighter forces than usual. The Ukrainian artillery and the FPV drones are very precise, kicking out the Russian vehicles. So even though we saw the advancement of the Russian army, it's not very significant for the last 5 days. They have tremendous losses and in general their offensive operation already failed. They tried to encircle Avdiivka but unsuccessfully. However, we understand that they may accumulate and they are accumulating more forces in the region in their next attempt to encircle Avdiivka because they have the political decision from Vladimir Putin to take Avdiivka. The Russian generals and Putin himself do not care about the Russian army losses. They need it and they'll try to get it. For now, everything works well for the Ukrainian army in their defense. It was very successful, but we'll see in the future if Ukraine will be able to stand the ground in Avdiivka. Today, Russia also shared the video of how they target the Ukrainian Leopard 2A6 tank. It happened on the south, not far away from Verbova. It seems like Ukrainian army went on a counterattack in this place. The tank is completely lost for Ukrainian army, but from what I know, crew survived. Russians were able to target the ammunition compartment, which is located at the aft part of the turret. But unlike the Soviet or the Russian-made tanks, the Leopard tanks do not explode. However, there was the fire which finally destroyed the tank. But the crew had enough time for evacuation. I'll share this video on my Telegram channel for you to see. Russia also continued to lose their tanks. This is the T-72B3 modification, the most popular Russian tank, the modernized version of the standard T-72 with more armor and better systems, let's say, and it went totally kaput. As you can see, it's the standard Russian space program where the turret flies just far away from the ground. It is the big minus of the Soviet-made tanks that the ammunition is not in a separate compartment but around the crew. The Russian crew didn't feel anything. The temperature and the pressure is so intense that it's like to be inside the sun. Some of the Russian soldiers are posting the pictures on their social media accounts with T-55 tanks, and those are filmed near to the front line. So definitely Russia uses those Jurassic tanks. They even put the grill on the top, and to put it there they had to get rid of the machine gun, which is normally located on the top of the turret of T-55. There is no extra armor, no special aiming devices, nothing. It's the standard T-55 just with the grill and no machine gun. And it seems like they're not using those as the stationary turrets. No, they use them as the tanks. Nevertheless, we shouldn't underestimate the Russian army. They have many kind of the equipment, including the modern T-90 tanks. Alright, according to the latest Deep State military map update, Russia advanced to this hill, but definitely it is still in the gray area because Russia is unable to deploy their forces on this spot. Also, we have the light advancement of the Russian forces towards Pervomaysk, so it was yesterday and it is today, just few meters. Also, there is the movement in the Bakhmut direction. The enemy advanced from this lake. Actually, it was yesterday and it is today. They are taking the higher ground. It's not good. Before they moved our forces from Berhivka, and now they advance from this side and also directly to Hromove. At the same time, Ukraine has the assault vector on the south, so the situation, I would say, leveled with our attacks and their attacks in Bakhmut. Let's go back to Avdiivka for a moment, because there is also the change in favor of Ukraine. Before, Russia tried to advance from this place directly to the town, but was repelled today by Ukrainian counterattack. Let's go to the timeline. So it was actually yesterday and it is today. Russians had to leave their positions near to this road. Based on the Ukrainian defense here, I don't think that Russia will be successful with their attack attempts. The only chance they have is advancing from this place and also from this place, but mainly they already failed this operation. They need at least 3 times more forces than they used in the first day. But for now they're out of that major resource and continue to send the forces, but much less compared to the last week. In general, I don't see the perspective for the Russian operation in Avdiivka, but everything might change because Russia still has lots of the resources. It's the big country with lots of the population and they still have lots of the army vehicles. Yes, those are old, but they may use those resources massively. Let's go to the south to Kherson region. The Ukrainian landing operation is still ongoing. For now, we don't have the military map update from the area. What we know that Ukrainian forces are undergoing the special training to land the forces across their rivers. The similar trainings were done even before in Germany. So we have the special platforms, they may construct the bridges and also separately transition tanks or any kind of the other vehicles. If we transfer artillery and many tanks across the Dnieper River, it could be the start of the attack operation towards Crimea in Kherson. Luckily, Germany transported lots of those systems. The big problem for Ukraine is the Russian aviation with the gliding bombs. Before there was also the threat from the Russian attack helicopters K-52, but now Russia started to use them very rarely. They have to move them further from the front lines because Ukraine now has ATACMS. According to the military analytics from the Institute of the War Researches in the United States, Russia is ready to use lots of the artillery next year, even more compared to 2023, because now they have the supplier, the North Korea and Iran. Well, Iran mostly supplies the rockets and the drones, but North Korea sent already many of the artillery shells and artillery systems, the barrels. The lack in artillery started to be the huge problem for the Russian Federation this year. But as you can see, they found some resources from their allied countries. My opinion, well, I don't have the confirmation about it, that China also supplies artillery shells to Russia through the North Korea, because North Korea sends lots of the military cargoes to Russia. I don't think that they are able to do it without some sort of the compensation, and the only place they might get the compensation is from China. Also, Russia intensified the production of its own artillery by around 5 times since the beginning of the war. Alright, here we go with the partial information about the attacks on the United States military bases. So 10 of them were performed on the United States military bunker bases in Iraq and 3 in Syria, Pentagon officials say. It seems like the information about those attacks is top secret. I couldn't find the reliable information about the losses or the ways the attacks were performed. Some say drones, some say rockets. Different media resources shared their stories and theories, but no proofs were provided, no footages, nothing basically. And United States officials just confirmed that definitely there were attacks and nothing more. Because of that, I think that the situation is way more serious than they want us to know. I think that Iran and Russia support the small local groups of fanatics who perform this attack, so they use the Iranian-made and Russian-made weaponry. It was already confirmed. Well, not for those attacks, because we are out of the information of what particular weaponry was used, but we know that those organizations are using the Russian-made and Iranian-made weaponry, including drones and anti-tank weaponry. Again, this escalation is very profitable for Russia. Alright, so here's probably the most crazy idea that was presented actually to Vladimir Putin as the attacking plan on Ukraine. The plan that you may only find in the James Bond movies or Austin Powers Dr. Evil style. So there's the guy named Rogozin, who is ex-chief of the Russian space corporation Roscosmos. Not a long time ago, he called to one of the main officials, current officials of the Roscosmos. Probably they know each other for a very long time. Conversation, by the way, was leaked to the internet and I listened to it. It's quite long, it's in Russian, and my friends, I'm too lazy to put subtitles, but I can tell you what they were speaking about. So Rogozin said that Russia is now unable to use nukes because they don't want to escalate it to the nuclear war, but they have the very powerful rockets, Soyuz, that is used to deliver everything to the space, to the International Space Station. Well, now SpaceX does this job more profitably, but still Russia launches their Soyuz. By the way, this rocket was designed by Ukrainian designer Korolev. At the time, Elon Musk was inspired by him. So Rogozin proposes to load this rocket with lots of the explosives, like 10 tons or something, and to launch it as the standard ballistic missile to target Ukrainian infrastructure, he said, including Kiev. His friend, the current official of Roscosmos, was very surprised about his idea. It was understandable from their conversation. Nevertheless, he said, okay, we'll try to figure out, but those missiles could be not as precise as the Russian strategic ballistic nuclear missiles. Or, for example, Iskanders. Yes, we know that Iskanders target the civilian infrastructure mostly, but Russia aimed them towards the civilian infrastructure. That is their strategy, by the way, and to load 10 tons to the rocket, it's a very expensive rocket, by the way. This idea could be only protested by Rogozin's mind. They discussed more issues, that this rocket might fall on the Russian territory, and also disassembles. It consists from the 3 parts, and if they use it with the short range, the part of the rocket will separate and fall down 100% on the Russian territory. Also, the top of this rocket wasn't designed to penetrate the layers of atmosphere. There is the small capsule with the crew or with a cargo that usually lands. So what they want is to construct the special shield on the top for this operation to be successful. So the rocket may fly on the top, but it cannot return right now because of the huge drag with atmosphere. The interesting evaluation of the space technologies that are used to open the boundaries for humanity. But Russians want to use everything for destruction. And they already sent this crazy plan to Vladimir Putin for approval. I wonder if they approve this crazy plan and if this missile finally will fly. Well, after all, I might say that the Patriot air defense systems should be enough to target it. This story was shared by the German Bild resource. I understand that it's not trustworthy, but I heard the conversation with my own ears. It was shared in the media, so we may say that definitely they were speaking about this crazy stuff. Again, shows that the Russian Federation is some sort of the evil state like you may find in comics books or in the movies. I definitely cannot understand the way they think. They want to destroy, and that's it. They're not creative for society. Even their own society suffers without the gas, without the proper infrastructure, and with poverty, but they want to invest huge funds for the crazy ideas just to demolish and destroy. That's it. That's crazy. My friends, please don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, you may check out some of the links in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. My friends, you are awesome. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.